Happy New Year, everyone. The numbers are in for Seychelles in Panama City Beach for 2020. I'm Craig Duran with the Duran Group over at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I'm going to do this video market update a little different than in the past. We'll start with the first part is going to give you kind of an overall overview of the entire market, a few statistics from that so you can understand what's happening there. Then we'll look at Seychelles. We'll look specifically at the one bedrooms and separate those from the three bedrooms, just to see what kind of appreciation and activity we have in that part of it. And then part three will be a combination of looking ahead to 2021 and also a couple of ideas and tips on pricing and timing if you're thinking about selling in 2021. So let's get right to it. 2020, we had 12% fewer new condos come up for sale than we did in 2019. Meaning buyers had fewer choices. We had 12% less supply in the market. But look at what the buyers did with that lack of supply. We wrote 12% more new contracts on condos than we did in 2019, 2020 versus 2019. And we sold 24% more condos in 2020 than we did in 2019. Look at it from a volume standpoint. It's actually even higher. 281,872,000 dollars worth of condos sold in 2019, 373 million plus sold last year. So pretty good increases, dramatic increases in my opinion. Sometimes we go year to year and we sell about the same amount, within 2, 3, 4%. We're selling 24% more condos year over year. That's a big number. When we look at appreciation, the average sales price, or look at the average sales price, up 6%. Think about that. That's just an average of meaning newer buildings, older buildings, large units, small units, good condition, lousy condition, what have you. The average sales price went up 6% last year in the market. You guys know I'm a huge fan of this chart. I think it's important to understand. Again, this is look at the entire Gulf front market. The red line represents the number of units for sale at any given point. And after plateauing in April, May right here, look at what's happened since May. Month over month, there are fewer and fewer and fewer condos for sale. And think about that in the mindset of a buyer. Your typical buyer may be thinking about buying a condo, and then maybe a few months before they actually come into town to start looking at units. And imagine that process, that 1 week or two, they're looking at a few units, they save them. All of a sudden, those are all gone under contract or sold. They start to look at more units, and there's just less and less to choose from. That's what's happening. Remember, another important part of this is this months of inventory number. For those of you who haven't heard my spiel before about months of inventory, it's important to understand. If you've heard it, just fast forward. Months of inventory, 5 or 6 months of inventory traditionally is represented a normal or neutral market in real estate. It means things happening at a normal pace. It would take an agent, a little bit of time to get marketing up and going. It would take time for buyers to consider the condo that's for sale, make time to come and look at it, schedule showing appointments, negotiate contracts, and then get that contract closed. That normal pace would take about 5 or 6 months. So the lower the number, obviously things are happening faster. That whole process is happening in 4 months or 3 months or 2 months for that whole process to happen. So take a look and see what's happening. In 2020 in the condo market, we came out of the gate right in here about neutral market territory, and we hit the brakes in April directly due to a lack of activity in March. 14 months of inventory, very, very slow, sluggish market. But look how quickly we picked up. 8.67 months of inventory, half of that, 4 months of inventory, 3, 2, hovering in the 2s for most of the rest of the year and finishing off at 1.7 months of inventory. 1.7 months of inventory means theoretically we would sell every condo in the market that's for sale today would be sold in 1.7 months if nothing else came up for sale. That's the kind of market we're in. That's the kind of pace we're in still. December is supposed to be the off season, right? When we look at Seychelles specifically, this chart's not as helpful. because things bounce around so much. There's not that many units, but you can still see if you look at this months of inventory number here, most of the numbers that we're seeing are still very much seller market territory. So let's look at things in terms of appreciation. The sold date, I've got this organized by sold date. So starting in January, and then all the pricings over here. Early in the year, we had, these are the one bedrooms, and I know differences in the two plans, but you'll get the idea. And I don't even know if I have a 05 sale. 273,000 early in the year, 270,000, 250,000 earlier in the year. Jumped to 285, 295, 285 still, 289, 299, 285, 298, 280. So you can see a little later in the year, we've got these 298s, 299s that we had sprinkled in early in the year, a 250. There are a couple things going on here. Anytime you get around a major price break like a 300, the market needs to break through that to be comfortable that all of a sudden these one bedroom units that are worth 200 something are now worth 300 something. And you can see it right there in all the pricing. We just don't have anybody willing to go that 298 and 299 sale. They just can't make themselves pay 3 something. It's still a 200 something unit. So Seychelles is very much trying to move past that 300 mark. The same exact thing is happening in Splash right now. We'll talk about some patience in pricing shortly. Let's look at the 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms, there's some obvious appreciation here. Look, we went from 420 early in the year to 482 to 475 to 510. Obviously, condition and things and view and things like that have some differences, but just on its face from a data standpoint, which is the way a lot of appraisers will look at it, some very good appreciation in the 3 bedroom units. So looking ahead, let's talk about what I see coming in the market along with the timing and pricing if you're thinking about selling. I started looking at this. Remember, this comes from a company called Showing Time, and Showing Time is a system that real estate agents and brokers use to schedule showing appointments. The orange line is 2020, the blue line is 2019. Early on, I knew that we were going to have this dramatic fall off in people getting out to look at real estate, obviously, in March. I wanted to watch and see when that might bottom out, just how bad was it going to get. Here it bottomed out, I think, at over 60% less showings were happening. But I also wanted to see when things might pick up again. We didn't know how long it would be before that happened. And I was surprised, along with a lot of other people, that by the end of May, we were showing about the same amount of real estate as we were the year before. And if you follow this, the orange line is outpacing the blue line really for the most of the rest of the year, meaning we're showing as much or more real estate as we did previously. So, but again, from a timing standpoint, if 0% is our baseline, notice how that we have fewer showings this time of year than we do this time of year. Again, this is pulling in all of Florida, which are very different seasons, and this is houses, condos, everything. So there's, if I could draw this for our own market, I would actually show another bump here for our own market. But one thing that's important to understand from a timing standpoint is that it's really early February that we start to see showing appointments move up. More people are looking at real estate. And it's a really important time. We always hear about the spring market in real estate, but this is a very real thing that things start to happen pretty soon. So if you are thinking about taking advantage of a hot market, get your marketing in place now. Get your property up for sale now. This is the kind of market that where you can really maximize on pricing. Another reason to do that, there aren't a ton of units for sale. And for the most part, everyone's holding above that 300 number. And these are all 1 bedrooms, of course. If you're a 3-bedroom unit thinking of selling, you're really in a great spot with not a lot of competition. But either way, there's not a lot of inventory for sale in Seychelles. 1 or 2 of those units goes off the market, and buyers are going to feel like they have even less and less of a choice. A couple things about pricing also to make sure if you're pricing, I think I see a really great example of it in this building. Everybody except for one person is pricing over 300. And there's nothing in the market that shows that someone's going to pay anything for it when you look at the data. But this is the kind of market where things move up. This is the kind of market where you see appreciation. This is the kind of market where people will stretch and find a little more money to pay for something if they don't have the choice. They want to buy. So pricing aggressively, like we're seeing in some of those, is I think is an excellent strategy. This is the first building. I've looked at a number of buildings this morning. This is the first building I've seen where I think the majority of people are really executing on that. I think if those people who are selling will be patient, I think the market's working in their favor. In fact, one of those is our listing, and we presented an offer last week at $285,000, which is a very good offer in line based off of what we've seen in the past. I applaud the sellers in that case for just being patient. They're pretty new to the market. Hey, Craig, let's see what happens. We know the market's moving in our favor this time of year. Remember that showing time chart still has some room to run. We're not even warmed up yet to where people are thinking and being excited about beach season yet. So it's a great time to be on the market for people doing their research, a little patience. I won't be surprised to see us break through that 300 threshold. And once we do it once, especially twice, that can really cement in that those units are now a 300-something thousand unit. Make sure when you're pricing aggressively that you have some ideas and some strategies on how to close contracts that are priced that come in high. We have some real interesting strategies on how to deal with low appraisals so a seller isn't obligated to just take a low appraisal. We have some ways to get around that, or work through that, I should say. For those of you who aren't signed up on e-alerts, I know most of you already are, but if you're really interested in keeping up with the market just on your terms, remember an e-alert is we have a software set up. There's no commitment. It's completely free. You can be signed up, and anytime a unit comes up for sale, changes price, goes under contract, or sells, you'll be sent an email with that information. And we can send that to you daily or weekly. We can batch up all the information, and anything that happens in a given week will come to you weekly or even monthly. And it's a really excellent way to see the accurate, real information. It comes straight from our system, the real estate agent system, and it sends you a really nice looking display. It even works great on mobile. You can see the unit. You can click on it, look at the interior photos, look at the descriptions, but you can see what's happening in real time. So it's not what your neighbor said they sold their condo for, or what a friend of yours said someone said it sold for. It's the actual sold date, the actual sold price, and you can really keep up with the market in real time. So if you're not signed up and that's something you're interested in, send me an email to craig@craigduran.com or shoot me a text to 850-527-0221. We can set you up for Seychelles. We can set you up for just the one bedrooms or just the three bedrooms if you want to. We can set you up if you own units in other buildings. We can set you up in other buildings. If you know anybody buying, it's a really excellent way. I think it's a little more accurate than some of the big name websites that are out there because it comes straight from our MLS system. So when things go under contract, you can see what's actually for sale versus some of that doesn't translate well into the big national websites. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Happy New Year. Stay safe. We'll be back next month with some more information for you. Thanks.